Alright, so before we get started, it's really important that we get the guitar in tune. I don't know if you've ever heard an out-of-tune guitar, but it's not pretty. So let's make sure that we get it in tune, and I'm going to show you some shortcuts to make sure that it stays in tune. Alright, so in order to tune, we're going to use these guys called machine heads. Okay? Now, this is string number 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're going to start off with number 1. This one on the tuner, we want to see the letter E. Okay, so it's going to say 1E, or it'll just say E. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to keep our right hand, our picking hand, and we're going to play the string, and while it's ringing, we're going to turn this machine head. If we turn away from, so we have the thumb kind of going away from us, then that's going to be making the string higher, which is called sharp. And if we're pulling back towards us, then it's going to be making the string flat. Okay, so it's a little bit difficult to see which direction you're moving in, like if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. But if you remember that the thumb is going away from you and the note's going higher, and the thumb's going towards you and it's going to be going lower, it's much easier. And that also works up here as well. Thumb away is tighter and higher, so sharp, and if it's going towards you, it's looser and lower, which is flat. Alright, so let's have a look at the tuner, and I'll show you some extra tricks on how to tune the string and how to keep it in tune. Before we get to tuning, I just want to go over a few things. One, there are so many different kinds of tuners out there, so as long as you get a digital tuner, then it'll do the trick. Check out the tuning guide for all the different kinds. Also, usually tuners are good to go as soon as you press the power button, but just in case you get some weird results, then make sure you see things like 440, you see chromatic, like on here this says chromatic, sometimes it might say guitar, as long as it has those things. If there's anything different, like we'll go through the whole process, and if it's just not sounding right, then make sure it's 440 and not any other number than 440 if you see a number like that. Some tuners, they might say like violin or something like that. You might not see the letters properly. So usually right off the bat it'll be good to go, but chromatic, 440, or guitar. Next, if you have an electric guitar and it's plugged into your tuner, then what you're going to want to do is flip the switch all the way to your left. So if you're holding the guitar, then flip the switch all the way to your left if it's a Fender style. So this is called the neck position, or all the way up if it's a Les Paul style. So this is called the rhythm position. So this is depending on the style of your guitar, but this will ensure the best and most accurate tuning. So the last thing is that when you're tuning up, you want to make sure that you're picking the same intensity as when you're playing. So for example, if when you're playing, you're going like this, and then when you're tuning, you're going like this, then it's not going to be the most accurate, because what we're doing is we want to tune the guitar to how hard you pick. So just make sure that you're picking the same intensity when you're tuning as when you're playing. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start from the thinnest string on the bottom of the guitar. This is called E, or on some tuners, 1E. So the first goal is to have the tuner say that proper letter. So it'll say 1E or E, depending on the model of the tuner. If it's anything between A and D, then you want to tune tighter, and in musical terms that's called sharper. And we want to tune that string so that it gets into the range of E. Okay, so with this one here, we want to tune higher. So we're going to use that trick where we have the thumb go away from the guitar. Okay, so the thumb's away from the guitar. We're tuning that same machine head, and now it's in the range of E. Now, if it was too high and it said F or G, then we would tune lower. We would bring the thumb towards us and loosen the string. In musical terms, that's called flat. Okay, now that we have it in range, next what we want to do is we want to get it lined up with the center. Okay, so what we do is we tighten it very slowly, but at the same time we're going to be playing I think the fastest way is just to play constantly like this, and you're just slowly watching the tuner. Okay, and there, it's perfectly in tune. What we did there was, it was a little bit lower, and we brought it to the center. If it's a little bit higher, then we do slightly different thing. That takes 2 steps. So let's say it was a little bit too high. So instead of loosening it down to the center, we're going to actually loosen it a little bit too low and then tighten up to center. Okay, I'll show you why in a sec. So we loosen it past center, and then we tighten up to center. Okay, now the reason why we do that, and this took me years to figure this out, is that when you're tightening the string like that, it actually locks it in tune. So when you loosen it, if you loosen it down to the center, that machine head's in a pattern of loosening, so it'll keep getting looser and looser, and then your string will eventually get out of tune. So what you do, if it's lower, that's kind of easy. You just tighten up to the center. If it's too tight, like too high, then you loosen it past center, and then you tighten it up to center, and that'll keep the strings in tune. Okay, so now that this is in tune, we want to move on to the next string, which is B. And you just keep following that same thing. If it's the correct letter, and I've outlined all those in the tuning guide, then you just get it in range first, then you tune up to the center. If it's too low, you tighten up to center. If it's too high, you go past center and then tighten back up to center. So we always want to tighten up to center. One more note is that if you can't get it right in the center, and let's say it was just going a little bit higher like that, if you can't get it right in the center and just 1 notch higher, that's okay. It's better to be a little bit higher, just a little bit, than not high enough. So always get it either in the center or even just one higher. Once you tune all the 6 strings, just check one more time that all 6 strings are in tune. It'll be a quicker process, but this would be the process. Tune string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then once you finish 6, then you just go back to 1 and you double check. Sometimes when you're tuning the guitar, it'll put the other strings out of tune, especially if the strings are new. Alright, now that your guitar's in tune, let's get to playing.